a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am with my good friend Lindy from Edmonton, Alberta. She is visiting Tokyo and we have just spent a fabulously bookish day. Welcome to my channel.
Thank you, Sean.
And she's just made the most delicious vegetarian soup I've ever had in my life. So I actually have food in my stomach, not only wine, so maybe a little more sober than usual for a Friday night video. I want to show you, she is here with her good friend Kathy, who, it's total bullshit, but she is too shy, she says, to come on camera, so she's the one laughing in the corner. So we might get her here before the video we stop recording, which Kathy gave me this book as a thank you gift for showing them around Tokyo. I sure got the good end of that deal. This is a Canadian novel, hot off the press from Canada. Days by Moonlight by Andre Alexi. Am I pronouncing that right? Andre Alexi. And even off camera, what can you tell me about this?
Only that it was just published and that it's part of a 5-book series that he's writing in different genres. And it's Andre Alexis, so it has to be great.
Lovely. It's part of a, what did you say?
A quintile.
A quintile. So 5 novel series. It's not necessarily linked characters.
I think there might be some kind of linking between, but
thematic.
It's more thematic, yeah.
Okay. I have never read any Andre Alexi. His most famous novel is 15 Dogs.
Yep.
And is that part of the quintile?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Have you read Andre Alexi?
Yes, I read 15 Dogs, and I read Pastoral, and one between those, which I can't think now what it was. That was kind of a puzzle novel. Anyway, and so they're all quite different from each other, all the 3 that I've read, and I enjoyed them very much.
Oh, great.
Yeah, he's a great writer.
I have just peeked at the epigraph. This novel is crying out for me to do a epigraph tag. The epigraph is by W.S. Merwin. It was all true in a way, only the way kept changing. I love that! That's fabulous. So, thank you, Offscreen Kathy.
Very welcome.
And she also gave me wine paraphernalia. She knows me too well. This is a wine memory stick. Because the more wine I drink, the more I need help with my memory. So thank you. And this is a wine yard bottle opener. It's not a wine bottle opener. It's a beer can opener.
At 8th Generation Winery, they make a Frisant wine that has a crown cap on it.
I see.
And that looks, I think that's what that's for. But you could use it on any winery's crown cap.
I will try it. Thank you so much. And Lindy has given me a whole swack of lovely stuff, including this Jeanette Winterson novel, Light Housekeeping. What can you tell me about this?
Well, I'm a huge Jeanette Winterson fan. This is one of my favorites of hers. The reason I chose it for you was because you asked me quite a long time ago if I could suggest anything for you that was kind of along the lines of myth and retelling.
Retelling that you thought I would like.
That I thought you would like.
And this is what you've...
Yeah, so it's not a retelling, but there are lots of references to myth, folktale, other literature, Treasure Island, the Bible, those kinds of stories. And it's like those stories are an ocean, and the novel is a boat that's floating along on those stories. So they're supporting underneath, and it's a very playful story. The central character is Silver, who's orphaned young and then grows up in a lighthouse, trained by a blind lighthouse keeper. And so she's learning backstory, and it's a lesbian story too.
That sounds fabulous.
Lovely.
Any references to Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse? Any resonance?
You know, there could be. I've read it twice, and
You're picking more stuff every time?
That didn't occur to me, but it could very well be.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much. And can I keep all the bookmarks?
Yes.
This is from the gay bookstore in Vancouver, Little Sisters. Which I haven't...
Oh, I think I put it in at a part that I like.
Okay.
Which is the beginning of a chapter.
Great.
A beginning, a middle, and an end is a proper way to tell a story. But I have difficulty with that method. I just like that line.
Lovely. And the second bookmark is from
Litfest.
Canada's original non-fiction festival.
Yeah, so in Edmonton,
Tell me about that.
our the literary festival that we have there is only celebrates nonfiction.
Is it in November? It's in October.
In October, yeah.
Okay. And it's in Edmonton.
Yeah.
I didn't know about it.
And I marked another spot in there. So Pew is the name of the lighthouse keeper that's raising Silver, the man who's raising her. Tell me a story, Pew. What kind of story, child? A story with a happy ending. There's no such thing in all the world. As a happy ending? As an ending.
Ooh. That's epigraph worthy. Thank you. That's lovely. And the next one is one that I barely heard of at all. Tim Bowling's The Heavy Bear, as opposed to the Light Bear. So, what can you tell me about this?
Okay, you know, a man and his imaginary bear. I thought that's definitely a Sean book.
Marian Engel overtones, undertones.
So the guy in this story, and it's a novel that takes place over the course of one day. I kind of like those.
It's signed. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he's from Edmonton.
Yeah.
And I've interviewed him before. He's not a person that's on social media. He just likes to write and write and write and get his MacArthur Genius Grant and write some more. And
you can tell he's not on social media. This is his author photo. A little bit shy.
Yeah. So in this story, the central character happens to be called Tim Bowling, I think.
Funny how that happens.
It's one of those, is it nonfiction, is it fiction? But then there's the imaginary bear. He spends the entire day not going to work. His work is teaching English at university, and
now I know why you gave this to me.
And he has all of these sort of picaresque, adventures that happen along the way to Jasper Avenue in Edmonton. He meets up with strange characters, and it's delightful.
Am I in this book? I should say I lived in Edmonton for a total of about 5 years, from about 1988 to 91, and then again from 1999 to 2001, but I didn't know Lindy at that time.
Yes, I don't know. We could have been at the same things.
We probably were.
Yeah.
Because I used to go to all those things, but we didn't.
All the things.
How did we meet? Prison.
Really?
Wasn't it prison?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
We met on Litzy, the Bookish social media app, and you're still very active there. Mm. I'm less so, but yeah, that's how we got to know each other. And I met Lindy for the first time at my wedding last August in Saqiyuq.
I was honored to be there.
Well, I was honored to have you. So this sounds pretty interesting. And what's the connection to Buster Keaton?
So Buster Keaton is in the book too. So he's got Delmore Schwartz, the bear, and Buster Keaton, both kind of like riding on his shoulders.
Okay.
You know, as he's walking along, those are the voices that he's got.
And apparently Delmore Schwartz is an American poet that
Yes.
that I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I hadn't heard of him before reading this book, but then just recently I read a biography of Hannah Arendt, and Delmore Schwartz came up in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And you have read this book and liked it, loved it?
Yeah, I talked about it with Jenny, Reading Envy, on her
Envy.
podcast last year. Yeah,
2017. Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
And she's given me other lovely stuff. Can I show these? She makes these cards, wildlife prints. They're based on photographs that you have taken, and then what do you do to make them into this?
Well, this is called the lino cut printing.
Lino cut.
So it's a piece of lino, and you use a little cutter and do the design in it, and then you put ink on it, and wherever you cut out, the ink doesn't, spread some ink on it,
So,
like that. Like, did you ever do potato printing? I mean, you cut a potato in half and then carve out a shape and then put some paint on it and no? Not a crafty guy.
not that kind of crafty. But this one matches my blouse. Look at that.
Aw, nice. The magpie. It's for all the pretty things that you like.
Yes. And this is a polar bear tea towel. I won't open it all the way because it's still got the tag on it, but it's beautiful. And, it doesn't get much more Canadian than that.
Yeah, my brother lives in Banff, so,
okay.
there's all the tourist Canadian stuff there.
And this is gorgeous. This is a Canadian bird tea towel, which I don't think I'll ever use as a dish towel, but it might have to go up on the wall. Look at that. And Canada's Nature magazine. It's our version of National Geographic. Canadian Geographic. Do you subscribe to it?
No, I don't.
I used to. My family used to.
So this one, I was attracted to the cover story because it's about Nunavut.
Mm-mm.
And
for my non-Canadian viewers, what the heck is Nunavut?
it's a northern
Territory. Fairly newly created, about 15,
Yes, because
20 years
the
ago.
Northwest Territories were split into two sections, and Nunavut is administered mainly by Indigenous people.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this article is about their adventures of late.
Yes, I have. I haven't read it. So
I will read about
hope
it. I will tell you later.
Good stuff in there.
Thank you.
It's really hard to find literature from Inuit authors.
I read a memoir that was 3 generations of Inuit women. I think it's called Saqiyuq. Saqiyag or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was for a autobiographical writing class that I took at grad school, and it was recorded memoirs of the grandmother, the mother, and the granddaughter in maybe Nunavut, or I can't remember which territory. And I thought, oh, this is going to be so boring, and it was just gripping. So I will recommend that to you.
That does sound good.
So I gave you a book, kind of a hand-me-down book. What was that?
Well, I chose this from
You
your
chose it,
pile
yeah.
of discards.
Sean's Rejects.
Women in the Dunes.
By
and
Kobo
it's by
Abe.
Kobe Abe. All I did was flip it open and read the first paragraph, and
Why don't you
the first sentence
give us the
is,
first sentence.
One day in August, a man disappeared. He had simply set out for the seashore on a holiday, scarcely half a day away by train, and nothing more was ever heard of him. Investigation by the police and inquiries in the newspapers had both proved fruitless. Okay, I'm intrigued. I'm in. That's all it took. And then, you know, Sean's got this page 112
Yes.
thing. So I thought, well, you know, sure, it's got a good opening, but what about page 112? So I flip to that, and I see it's some special chemical reaction between the garlic smell in your mouth and the antiseptic solution they're using to scrub the corridor. What? No, take it easy. No matter how I try to write, I'm not fit to be a writer. Okay, still, I'm in. That
Great.
sounds good.
It didn't work out for me at all, but I think you will probably love it. You're going to read it while you're in Japan,
Oh yeah.
so you can you'll have to do a follow-up video with your review.
Yeah, when I come back to
When you come
Tokyo next week, yeah.
Great. What's the last really good book that you read?
Oh, this is tough because I can't remember.
What was the book you read last night?
Oh, well the last really good book I read was the reread of The Lighthouse Keeper.
Okay, and the one before that?
I couldn't sleep last night, so I thought, I got this book for Sean. I think I'll just read this again.
If I asked you, what's the best book you've read so far in 2019, would that be an easy question to answer?
No. I read about 30 books a month, and I've been on quite a roll. So, 10 or 12 of those are 5-star reads for me.
Can you remember, aside from maybe anything that we've talked about so far, what was the last 5-star read?
It was one that I read right before I came to Japan, and it's called Dead Demons of Destruction. And it's by Asano Inyo. And
Japanese?
yes.
Is it a manga?
Yes,
Oh.
and it's volume 3 in that series. So the first 2 I really liked, and the third one is even better. And sometimes it's like that for me with manga. Even if I really like manga, the first one, and if it's most of them are series,
Right.
I don't necessarily go on to find out more. It's like, okay, I've got enough of that. Let's try something new. But Asano, he's just got something weird, but very real. It's just this weird blend of surreal. I
And
guess.
what kind of
So
manga
the
is
story is it's set in contemporary Tokyo, except the difference is there's an alien spaceship, a huge mothership.
that's realistic.
That's hovering. It's hovering, and over the course of this series, it's 3 years or 3.5 years that it's there. So during this time period, the central characters are high school girls, and so yes, there's a spaceship there, but life goes on. And meanwhile, the military is out, because smaller ships come off the mothership and they're shooting them down, and there are people who are protesting and they say, don't hurt the aliens. There's a lot of jingoism. There's it really is social satire of Japanese culture. So there's a lot that's going to be going over my head, but it's still really interesting, and I think what he's doing is especially addressing what happened at Fukushima, at the nuclear disaster, and how people who were evacuated are still, in dire straits, that there's still concerns. So with this alien ship, there's a whole area of the city that's been evacuated. There's a lot of different layers, but he combines humor with sort of horror and then the banal everyday stuff in a really interesting blend. And his art is fantastic. He does backgrounds, the scenery, so realistic. So the reason I picked it up to start with was because I knew it was coming here, and you know, it really gives you that sense of place, you know, minus the alien spaceship.
Oh, the night is young. The night is young.
Right. And the characters that he's got, these young women, are fascinating, and I love good characters. So he doesn't spare the reader, because as the series goes on, those characters aren't necessarily going to survive. You know, things get ugly.
Sounds interesting. So to wrap this video up, we have chosen to talk about one book about which we have deeply disagreed, and then to end on a really positive note, to talk about a book about which we have both deeply loved. So let's start with the book that we disagreed on, and this is quite a recent bail for me, and that was Crudo by Olivia Lang. So, she's shaking her head at me. Why?
Oh, I found this delightful. I always like a fresh voice, and this kind of hip stream of consciousness, really high energy writing got me so invigorated. And she's just witty and smart, and the character is a woman who's got tons of anxiety about her upcoming marriage, and I found her fascinating. And yeah,
I bailed on page 6, so I can't say too much, but I just hated the writing. That the opening sentence of I included in my bail comments, but it bears repeating. In fact, I think I have to share my Goodreads review. Do you remember it?
no.
Where is my... So here's the opening sentence of Crudo. Kathy, by which I mean I, was getting married. Kathy, by which I mean I, had just got off a plane from New York. It was 1945 on the 13th of May 2017.
Doesn't that just make you want more?
No. And then that conceit continues. Kathy, by which I mean I.
Oh, you're so square.
Kathy was Kathy. Top of page 2. Kathy was angry. I mean I was angry, and then I got married. So I got to 4 more pages, and I just couldn't stand it. So my Goodreads review. So Kathy is Kathy Acker, right?
Yes.
But this is set in like Trump era.
2017.
2017.
Yeah.
Kathy Acker died in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So she was a literary person that had been dead
Right.
for a while, okay?
Right.
So here's my review. Willa Cather, by which I mean I, was getting revolted. Willa, by which I mean I, had just ordered a cafe latte. She was feeling fancy. She read the first 6 pages of Crudo. Willa bailed. I mean I.
That's funny.
So what did I miss?
honestly think if you were in a different frame of mind and you read more pages, by which I mean I, that's only right in the very beginning.
That's true. I heard that.
Yeah.
But I also found that she was really off-putting character in those first 6 pages. Sure, I probably didn't give it enough, but enough of a chance. But she seemed really kind of superficial, and
I find neurotic characters really endearing for some reason.
Is that why you've enjoyed today so much?
I think so.
So let's move on to much happier territory, which is the book I think that we bonded over the deepest.
Yes, this is the one I remember first saying, whoa, we have the same reading tastes.
Yeah, although I can't remember which came first. I think A Little Life came first, but you had read it much earlier. Whereas this one, you read it just before I did. Something like that. But this is where I felt like we didn't just like this book. We deeply, deeply loved it.
Yeah.
So, and that is my favorite novel of all time. Do Not Say We Have Nothing by Madeleine Tien. So, why did you love this book so much?
Yeah.
Put you on the spot, hey?
Yes. Love the characters. Love the setting. It's the whole sweep of history that we get, pretty much all of 20th century in China.
Yeah.
She made me live it. the things that these characters went through, I felt like I went through it. And so, you know, by the time I put this book down, I felt like I was 10 times bigger inside, just from having lived all these lives. And Tien's writing is exquisite. You know, this her turns of phrase are beautiful, and so even those, a lot of things she's writing about are painful. There's atrocities even. It's still I still want to keep turning the pages because of the way she says, the way she expresses it.
That's great. A lot of my friends disagree, but I just thought the writing was just so powerful, so compelling. The actual writing, the prose, and the characters were. There was something that they were realistic. They jumped off the page, but there was also something that just you could feel them rooted in so much culture and history. Like they they were standing on the earth, but there was something that just they were rooted. Yeah. My favorite one, definitely, if I can remember her name, which maybe I can't because there's nothing in here. Something Big Mama Knife or something.
Oh yeah.
She was my favorite. She was funny and tough as nails.
It's a book that has a lot of music. It's about music.
Yeah.
But there's music through it too. You know,
there was a musicality to the writing.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I first heard about this novel, I didn't think that I wanted to read it because I wasn't particularly interested in modern Chinese history, and I wasn't particularly interested in music. And then I just fell into this novel, and I don't think I've quite yet come out.
Well, and you're reading The Good Earth now.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a strong
That's
connection.
right. It got me really interested in Chinese literature and reading other books that were more musically themed, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime read. My favorite novel of all time.
Read it.
Yes, read it. Do you have an idea of what the next book you will pick up might be?
I think it's going to be The Emissary by Yōko Tawada, because my book club is going to be doing it, and I found a copy today in Tokyo.
Now, that's Yōko Tawada? Mm-hmm. And is that one that she originally wrote in Japanese or originally wrote in German?
In Japanese.
In Japanese.
And I'm sorry, I can't tell you who the translator is.
All right.
But it did win the National Book Award in the U.S.
Final thoughts from Kathy. What's the next book you're going to pick up?
Oh, I've gotten a...
Will you peek your head around just for a moment? She's had enough to drink. She's finally going to say
Got
hello.
a cup of tea.
I picked up a mystery novel by a Japanese writer. I can't remember the name, but it's supposed to be about a
Suddenly,
it's supposed to be about a homicide detective who's a very good detective and who writes haiku poetry, and sort of people sort of compared him to P.D. James's character
and George Sand.
And so I thought, hey, this is just up my alley. So it's a great book, I think, to read while you're on vacation, because I find I don't like stuff that's really super serious, and this seemed just right.
Great. Good job, Kathy. Her BookTube debut. All right. Thank you very much, ladies. It's been a fabulous day. I sure got a lot of great books out of the deal, so I'm happy. Thank you for watching.